Hello, and welcome to the Pearl River Community College Physical Therapist Assistant Program Information Session. My name is Tracy Thornton, and I'm an instructor in the PTA program here at PRCC. I'm also joined by our program director, Karina Lee, and our program secretary, Sonetta Bolton. You will see several pictures that are displayed throughout our PowerPoint, and these are our students in various community service projects around our community. So a little bit about physical therapy. So PTs and PTAs are really considered the movement experts in the healthcare field. So we're usually the professionals who diagnose and treat individuals of all ages with medical problems, health-related conditions, or other injuries or illnesses that can limit the ability for patients to move and perform functional activities in their daily lives. So the role that we play in healthcare is to diagnose and manage movement dysfunction and enhance physical and functional abilities. We also restore, maintain, and promote optimal physical function, wellness and fitness, quality of life as it relates to movement and health. We're also very much involved in the prevention of onset, symptoms, progression of diseases and illnesses. So just a little bit about where PTs, PTAs work. So you can find us in acute care settings in traditional hospital, extended care facilities, which are your traditional nursing home settings, as well as home health, hospice, industrial and workplace environments, local, state, and federal governments, outpatient clinics, rehabilitation hospitals, research centers, school districts, and then in wellness, prevention, sports, and fitness centers. So just a few examples of conditions that are treated by PTAs include arthritis, back pain, balance issues, burns and wounds, developmental delays that are typically seen in babies and children, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, dislocations, fractures, all types of injuries, headaches, even incontinence, all the way down to sports injuries and neurological conditions such as stroke, traumatic brain injury, and spinal cord injuries. So one of the most important things that we look for in our applicants, and we also teach our students and expect of them as they become professionals, are the core values of our profession as PTs and PTAs. And those are accountability, altruism, compassion and caring, excellence, integrity, professional duty, and social responsibility. So just a few little more things about the profession of physical therapy and physical therapist assistants. So it is a job that has a high job satisfaction according to CNN Money. It gets an A for personal satisfaction. Forbes continues to rank it as the 10 happiest jobs. 78% polled said they were very satisfied with their chosen career. So it is a job with lots of benefits and lots of job satisfaction. As far as the job outlook goes for PTAs, so physical therapy employment is expected to grow by 36% through the year 2024. This is according to U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2018. It's still considered as the best jobs in America based on U.S. News and World Report, one of the fastest growing jobs in America, with highest growth expected still in rural areas and in the field of geriatrics. So some of the benefits of a career as a physical therapist assistant include making a difference in the lives of your patients and in their families and caregivers, being a movement expert that people in the community and family and friends can turn to, being able to enjoy job security, loving what you're doing, being able to choose your location. We have several of our graduates who have gone on to work in several different places all over the nation, to include traveling positions where they travel every few months to a different location. You can also be an entrepreneur. So several of our PTA graduates have gone on to either manage or own their own clinics. So some questions that we get asked include, what are the key differences between OT and PT? So, physical therapy, job duties are going to include more diagnosing of physical problems that restrict movement because of illness, because of injury, or because of congenital defects. And we use exercises, other techniques, modalities, things like that to ease pain, boost mobility and muscle strength, develop fitness and wellness programs, helping patients regain mobility skills, returning to previous functional level, and also making recommendations about adaptive equipment like wheelchairs and walkers, in addition to using specific manual techniques such as massage and stretching. Occupational therapy has some overlap with what we do, and they focus a lot also on functional outcomes of the patient. They emphasize helping patients with daily living skills, self-care tasks, supporting patients with memory loss, also making recommendations about adaptive equipment, addressing school tasks such as handwriting and using scissors, and working on behavior modification plans with patients. So let's talk about education and what it requires in physical therapy education. So for a PT or PTA degree, to practice as a physical therapist in the United States, you need to earn a doctorate of physical therapy degree from a program accredited by the Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy Education, or CAPTE, and pass a licensure exam. To practice as a physical therapist assistant, you need to earn an associate's degree in physical therapist assistant technology from a program accredited by CAPTE also, and pass a licensure exam. As far as the differences in PT and PTA education, the length of a PTA PT program is typically 3 years, following a 3 to 4 year bachelor's degree process. A PTA program is typically 2 years. Our program does not require prerequisites, so you could start our program out of high school without any prerequisites. Time in classroom and lab is usually about 80% of the program, with time spent in clinical education about 20% of the program. For us, the clinical experiences includes a 3-week summer clinical rotation as well as 3 5-week rotations in the last spring semester. So there are 18 weeks total of clinical experience in our program. So the primary content areas in the curriculum are going to include an emphasis in biology and anatomy, physiology, exercise physiology, biomechanics, as well as kinesiology and neuroscience, pharmacology, pathology, and behavioral sciences. We also really stress communication skills, ethics and values, sociology, clinical reasoning skills, how to utilize evidence-based practice, and a systems approach that includes endocrine, metabolic, musculoskeletal, neuromuscular, cardiovascular, and pulmonary systems. So the physical demands of the PTA are important because they are also demands that are part of our program curriculum. A physical therapist assistant has job-related physical demands that are rated at about a medium work level by the U.S. Department of Labor, which means there will be frequent 20-pound lifting and infrequent lifting of 50 pounds and over. Typical energy requirements at this level for a PTA is moderate to high. Typical physical job demands of a PTA include prolonged walking, prolonged sitting, pushing wheelchairs and other equipment, bending and squatting, assisting patients with exercises, and transferring of patients in excess of 100 pounds. As part of the Pearl River Community College PTA curriculum, students are asked to perform various physical activities that will include transferring patients, lifting, carrying, pushing, pulling heavy objects, prolonged sitting, prolonged standing, walking, squatting, reaching, handling, manipulating small objects, cardiovascular workouts on therapeutic equipment, and isotonic, isokinetic, or isometric exercise programs. Your student experience in our program will also include exposure to various forms of mechanical, radiant, thermal, acoustic, and electrical energy as part of learning modalities in electrotherapy, and potential exposure to chemicals that we use for cleaning purposes. Your student experience will also include close physical contact and touch with other students, faculty, and patients during your clinical rotations. This will occur under the supervision of academic and clinical instructors to promote learning of physical therapy skills. Other demands that we require of our students include skills of observation. You need to have accurate visual, auditory, and tactile observation of patients, of instruments, of therapeutic devices, of all lab equipment in order to process information correctly. You also need to have very appropriate and effective written, oral, and nonverbal communication skills with sensitivity to individual cultural and economic differences for patients. And effective electronic communication with sensitivity to the laws that surround that. You also need to be able to interpret scientific terms into lay terms for patients. We also require resource, time, and stress management skills in order for you to be able to manage your personal resources, time, and stress so that you can have a full-time, part-time academic course load as well as a full patient caseload and directed practice in your clinical education. We also require a high level of professionalism, ethics, and conduct. So your personal conduct, dress, and hygiene should be professional, safe, ethical, and legal. And we follow the guidelines with the American Physical Therapy Association standards of ethical conduct for the physical therapist assistant and values-based behaviors for the PTA as well. You also must have good cognitive functioning so that you can problem solve in a timely manner, perform critical analysis, and perform independent critical thinking. So, just some facts about our program at Pearl River Community College. Our PTA program became fully accredited on May 4th, 1994. We have been reaccredited in 1999, 2009, and again in 2019. So we are currently accredited through June 30th, 2029. Currently, we have a 100% passage rate average for the last 4 years on the National Licensure Exam, as well as a 100% job placement of all graduates that are seeking employment. So let's talk a little bit about our application requirements. So I've included those links for you on this slide. And as you can see, you would go to www.prcc.edu, and under academics, under plans, we're under allied health and nursing, and you will find us under the 2-year programs as physical therapist assistant technology. So you can go to that and find out how to apply to our program through that process. So both of those links are included on this slide. So our Pearl River Community College PTA application requirements, first of all, include an application to Pearl River Community College and accepted to our college. From there, we're going to need your official transcripts from high school and every college attended, no matter how long you attended them. Now, we will need your high school transcript if you have not had at least 12 core program semester hours or meet the criteria for a student who has those 12 core hours. Also, if you don't have your ACT score any other way but on your high school transcript, we'll need that as proof of your ACT score as well. If you've had dual enrollment or only like one semester of college, we still need those colleges that you've taken courses from and those official transcripts. So your ACT scores may have to come from your high school transcript, or if you've received official notification from ACT, you can send us that electronically as well. You will complete an online application for admission to the PTA program from that website that I shared the link for. Make sure that your phone number and email address are always up to date on all of the information that you submit to us. Attending an information session is also a requirement, but this online format will meet that requirement due to the circumstances. We'll also need a copy of your Mississippi driver's license or ID. And please keep in mind that we do have a hard due date of April 13th at 4 p.m. for all materials. And in-state students do have a priority into our program. No prerequisite coursework is necessary to apply, although many of our applicants and students do have either a bachelor's degree or some college coursework they have already completed. High school student applicants are welcome to apply, but you must have a 3.5 or above GPA. You also must complete a satisfactory background check that is required, and that will occur during orientation once you've been accepted into the program. So, our Pearl River Community College PTA curriculum and requirements are also listed on our webpage on that same place in www.prcc.edu. When you find Physical Therapist Assistant Technology, you can locate our curriculum. So let's go over that. Once accepted into the program, the first fall semester of our program has one PTA course, Fundamental Concepts of Physical Therapy. The other courses are your academic requirements. So if you have already met those academic requirements, then you don't have to retake those unless you have not had A&P 1 and 2 within the last 3 years, and then we require that you retake those courses. Okay. So if you have all of the academics and you don't have a need for financial aid, then you would only need to take that one PTA course. However, and we'll stress again later, if you need financial aid or have scholarship or financial aid, you will need to take 15 hours, so we will have to find other courses for you to take for those other hours that semester. Second semester, you'll actually have 3 PTA courses: kinesiology, electrotherapy, and fundamental skills of physical therapy. So those courses will all be PTA courses, and then any academics that you have not completed by that time, you will complete that semester. In that summer, in June, you'll take Therapeutic Modalities 1, and then in the second part of the summer in July, you'll go on your first clinical experience for 3 weeks. That following fall, you'll have Therapeutic Exercise 1, Therapeutic Exercise 2, Pathology, and then a simulated clinical skills course where we also do some collaboration with William Carey DP2 students. That following spring, you will be in clinical education full-time for your 3 final rotations, 5 weeks at different sites to complete your PTA educational experience. So let's talk about how to calculate your application score. So let's start with Bonnie. So Bonnie has at least 12 or more hours of program core semester hours. That doesn't mean that she just has 12 college hours. This means that of our required courses, Bonnie has at least 12 hours. That would include things like English Comp 1 and college algebra, general psychology, A&P 1 and 2 with labs. Things like that are considered our program core semester hours. So Bonnie has at least 12 of those. So here's how we will calculate Bonnie's score. Bonnie has an ACT of 26, and if you will look on our score sheet on that graph, it will show you that that 26 corresponds to 21. So we take 21 points and we say that times 20%, and that will give us 4.2. Bonnie also has an overall college GPA of 3.7. That corresponds to 18 on the chart. So we say that times 40% to get 7.2. Bonnie also has a program core course GPA, so those are the courses that she's had that are part of our program, of 3.5. That corresponds to 16, and that will be times 40% as well to get 6.4. Now, when calculating your score, we subtract 1 point for each repeated course where the original grade was F. We also subtract 1 point for each course taken with the resulting grade of F. So whether it was repeated or not, if the original grade was F, you subtract 1 point for each of those. So Bonnie has one F. That will give her negative 1.0 on that. Also, we will grant you 1 point for 16 hours of observation. It doesn't matter if you have 16, 160, or 1600, it's still worth 1 point. If you have less than 16, it's not a point. So Bonnie has 18 hours of observation, so she gets 1 point for that. So we calculate Bonnie's total score as 4.2 plus 7.2 plus 6.4 plus 1.0 for the observation, minus 1 for her 1F on her transcript to get to 17.8. So this is her preliminary score that goes into the Excel spreadsheet. So how do we calculate your score if you have less than 12 hours of program course semester hours or no college credit? So maybe you're coming out of high school, or maybe you've had very little college, or maybe you've had a lot of college but just not 12 hours of our program course semester hours. So Clyde would be an example of that. So Clyde has an ACT of 24. So we would take his ACT of 24 and we would look at the high school graph for that. That would correspond to 19 on that times 40% equals 7.6. We then look at Clyde's high school GPA. He has a high school GPA of 3.8. That corresponds to 14 times 60% equals 8.4. So Clyde did 1 point. He did 26 observation hours, so he gets 1 point for observation hours. It doesn't matter that he did 10 more than the 16. He still gets the same 1 point. And he does not have any Fs on his college work that he may have done to this point. Okay? Now, we're not calculating any college work for him because remember, he does not have at least 12 hours of program course semester hours. So Clyde's total score would be 7.6 plus 8.4 plus 1 equals 17.0. So both Bonnie and Clyde's scores will be put into that Excel spreadsheet and it would rank those. We take the top 40 to 50 in order to interview from that point. And then we use those preliminary scores and add the interview scores in order to pick our class. So a little bit about what's going on in PTA. So some new developments. There are now ways to specialize once you are a graduate and are licensed. There are advanced proficiency pathways for PTAs. So PTAs can now specialize in cardiovascular and pulmonary, acute care, geriatrics, neurology, orthopedics, pediatrics, sports physical therapy, wound management, and pretty soon women's healthcare as well. So on those advanced proficiency pathways for PTAs, once you do graduate and obtain your license and begin practicing, then the APTA has courses that you can complete in those specialty areas, and there are proficiency area specific content with skills checkoffs, and then you also have a mentor that helps guide you through the process. So some additional resources I need to make sure that we talk about. So remember, with financial aid, make sure that you are taking care to do your FAFSA and all of the things you need to do for your financial aid. But do know that you must take 15 hours if you're on scholarship or any type of financial aid in order to retain that financial aid. So if you've had all of your academic coursework, especially that first semester, then you're going to have to take other courses to fill in those hours. Also, WE is an option, so work study is an option that you need to look at and can apply for as well. Also want you to know that Sonetta Bolton is our secretary. She is also the secretary for 2 other programs besides ours. She does PTA respiratory and radiology. She is extremely busy. Please do not wait until the last minute to ask her any questions, check on your application status, and make sure to give her at least 48 hours to return calls or emails. Our application deadline is Monday, April 13th at 4 p.m. for everything. This is a firm deadline that will not be expanded for any reason, so make sure you use your time wisely. Plan to have all your application materials completed and turned in by the end of that day. Okay, I've listed here the emails for Sonetta, for Karina, for me on here. They're also on our website if you need to refer back to that for any reason. But just know this, you cannot hand deliver any of your application materials at this time. You cannot come onto campus. So you need to make sure you give yourself enough time to submit those electronically or by mail if that is the case for you, and allow yourself enough time to make sure that we have received those materials. If chosen for an interview, those will be conducted on Thursday, May the 7th. You'll be notified if you've been chosen for an interview and will be given a time to come on that day. If the current situation continues, then we may have to make modifications to our in-person interviews, and you will also be notified of that alternate way that we will be conducting the interviews at that time. Please also be aware that you will be required to travel up to 1 to 2 hours away for clinical rotations and will be responsible for housing costs and all living expenses incurred. Not everyone can be placed right here in the Hattiesburg area, so you just need to be aware that you will have to travel out for some of your clinicals. We're really proud of our program here at Pearl River Community College, and we're proud of our students and our graduates. We're proud of our job placement and the fact that they have jobs waiting on them. We have requests for our graduates to take jobs upon graduation. It is a very stressful program, and we expect a lot out of our students. We do have fun, though, as you can see by this slide, and we try to prepare you for entry-level practice by the time you finish our program. Some additional resources that can help you, especially in this day and age, online. So the American Physical Therapy Association at www.apta.org has very good resources for students or for potential students that are looking into careers in physical therapy. www.moveforwardpt.com as well. And then www.apta.org /PT career /ask a student has a specific blog forum where you can actually chat with a PT or PTA student about potential questions you may have. The Commission on Accreditation in Physical Therapy Education website is included here as well. You can see that our program is on there. I would also caution you, if you are looking at applying to other programs, make sure that that program is accredited. You want to make sure that when you graduate, you are able to sit for your national board exam and practice as a therapist. If the program is not currently accredited, there is no guarantee that you would be able to complete that process. I've also included Federation of State Boards of Physical Therapy here and the Academic Council of the American Physical Therapy Association. I hope this information session has answered most, if not all, of your questions concerning the application process. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email us to ask anything you need to know or to make sure that we have received your materials. Also, please make sure that on the observation form that you submit that as soon as possible, and you can also take a picture or scan that and email that to us to show us proof of your observation hours. Thank you.